Hey y'all. Yes. Okay, I have my hair up today, and we are going to be discussing um oops, customs, ways of living, spirituality in the Victorian era. Um and the reason why I've kind of been studying this era is because it's very similar to, the era I feel that we're in today in some sort of way, as far as technology and industry is concerned, and how a lot of people have broken the quote unquote mold as far as being able to own their own businesses instead of having to work for people. How there was a lot of quote unquote illnesses that quote unquote plagued everyone, and how medical research and how trial and error has created new technology and science and knowledge. So it was a time of um, transition spiritually, monetarily, and also a time of um, a lot of loss. But at the same time, that loss also led to gaining of knowledge, gaining of what was harmful to some people, or what wasn't harmful to people. Um, a lot of times, people didn't know why people were dying so much in that era. It's because a lot of the stuff that they used on a daily basis was actually poison, and they had no idea because they had no regulation for like those types of things back in those days. So there was no like FDA or anything. So a lot of times people would not get attached to their children, or they would not get attached to their loved ones until they reached a certain age, because they feared losing them, or they felt like, well, we shouldn't get too close because they could die. A lot of kids didn't make it past, a certain age. So that's why a lot of people had a lot of kids back in the old days, because they may lose some, you know. But now that we have, better medical technology and, knowledge of how to combat certain things, that's less of a, issue. So people have less kids these days. Also, spiritually, people were always wanting to communicate with the dead, or wanting to talk with the dead or spirits, or commune with some type of otherworldly entities and get knowledge from the other side. Because people were seeking a lot of knowledge back then, because it was almost as if the next invention or the next big idea could be gotten. So a lot of times people would turn to the occult, or talking to the deceased or whatever. So you had a lot of spirituality and spiritual seances in people's houses back then. People held funerals in their houses. So a lot of those energies and spirits were still kind of there and able to, you know, make a lot of people curious and interested about the other side. So at this time, we also have like a lot of new inventions that are hitting most households, which is like gas, electricity. So with that brings a whole new frequency. Okay. And it's similar to this time because we have 5G and all this technology and wireless communication running through the air. So it's almost as if that time is very similar to this time because of all the new frequencies that are occurring. Um, yeah, so I just like to compare and see their ways of dealing with certain things. And I got a few books, and I did notice that they had an orderly way of conducting certain daily activities in order to prevent certain things from occurring, or to their spiritual or superstitious beliefs, as they would call them, to allow certain time slots for visits, or certain dress code for the time of day and blah 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 blah. So I have these books, and I did link my um, I did link the store that I got these books at below. It's like one of my affiliate stores on Amazon where I just have like a bunch of like Victorian style stuff, and then these some of these books are on there too. So I got this book, and it's Mrs. Beaton's Book of Household Management, and it tells you how to manage your household in the Victorian era from different classes, like how servants were, how people that had money were, how da 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 da. So it just gives you like a a rundown, or just typical daily um, etiquette, and also how people were back in those days. So, like for example, um, it says paying visits of friendship. You would only usually last 15 to 20 minutes, and they had to be announced. You weren't to take off your shawl or your hat or bonnet or whatever you had on, because you weren't staying that long. So it's like you had timed visits. It was just very strange how they made sure that they protected themselves against getting too close to people. And they also advised not to make everyone your friend, which is a very valuable lesson as well. Um, Since not everyone is your friend, not everyone needs to see that side of you. Treat people as acquaintances, basically. Friendship has to be cultivated and da 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 da. So I think that's because a lot of people back then, since there was a lot of, ideas, going around, and technology was so rampant, and people were taking, um, you know, ideas and creating businesses out of it. A lot of times people didn't have a lot to do but gossip, snoop, eavesdrop, and things like that. And a lot of people may have been paid to get intel on certain people's, information. So you don't ever know who's your friend and who's not. I mean, if you watch some of those old shows, you'll see a lot of that in there, like that Downton Abbey show. There's a lot of that stuff in there too. So um, this is a good book. It does have recipes in it as well. Um, it's funny because like you would feel that people would know how to cook back then, but usually, unless you were poor or like lower middle class, you had servants or people to cook for you. So when you got to the middle class, um, from maybe like industrialism, or being able to have your own business or find ways to make money, um, you you had to either learn how to cook and teach other people how to cook to and be your servant, or you had to have money already, and then they would cook for you because everybody didn't know how to cook. So that was another thing that was kind of funny, because like if you're always at work and you have one job all day long, and all of a sudden you have money to start your own business or have a higher paying job, and you no longer have to do that one job, you never had time to learn how to cook because you were always just doing one job, right? So that's why it's like, oh, well, now I have to learn all this stuff over. But it's not, you know, I think people created what they wanted to at that time. And that's why so many new ideas and technology came out of that era, because there was the classes had merged and they weren't as separated as they used to be, because now people could get money without having to have it inherited to them. And I also got this book, which is really good. It's called Accomplished, and it's African American women in Victorian America. So this book, it just has a lot of different stories of women who, during this time period of African American descent, how they became who they are or who they were, and how they excelled a lot. Um, the lady that my mother's high school was named after is actually in here, Phyllis Wheatley. I read her story last night. It was very profound. She was like a poet, that was brought here on a slave ship, kind of adopted by some lady from Boston and raised, and went over to Europe and London and was like a poet and wrote poems about the royal people there, and then came back and wrote some poems about George Washington. I don't know. It's like really quick stories, and these people keep texting me. I don't want to buy anything. Okay. Um, y'all keep getting them Black Friday texts too. Like it is Monday, baby. And if I want to buy something, I know where to go. Um, yeah, and I thought this book would have photos in it, but it doesn't. But the stories like are really good. So definitely recommend this. I did put this in the link for the Victorian books and items and stuff that's below in the description. But yeah, there's more fashion stuff in other books. Let's see if I can find one. Like a lot of women were obsessed, like another spiritual thing, like a lot of women were obsessed with small waists and like big backsides or big bottoms. Like it's kind of like today, it's instead of like a bustle or like a big giant, dress, hoop dress, people get implants with like big butts and like skinny waist to make their waist look smaller. So it's very similar to kind of say, like I have a lot of, uh, I got a lot behind me, baby. I'm carrying a lot back there. So it's like, oh well, is that attractive to some people? Is it attractive to certain type of people? Well, it was the standard or style back then. I think they call it wasp body, where you had a little bitty waist and then a big hip and a big butt, or a bustle on. I'm trying to find the picture so you guys can see the. And if you guys are on my Patreon for my other channel, I posted something about that as well. So here, look, we have like a little bitty waist, like extended butt, giant hat, like mermaid dress, so we have like all these similarities as like a lot of people. And then they had the different types of women. So you had like the feminist protesting women, you had the bougie woman that just, was whatever, it says distinct district well, district leader rest instead of just leader, is leader rest. And then of course you have the Madam CJ Walker electric hairbrush, she started her own business and became a millionaire during this era. So she went from, poverty to like one of the richest women in America. So that era was easy to get rich if you were, able to think and start your own business. And that is what this era is also like, because you have all these people working online, all these people starting their own shops, all these people writing books, all these people doing this and that. And before that, maybe like 5 to 10 years ago, everybody had a job, or most people had a job. And so spiritually, I feel that this new frequency, as far as like, all the wireless technology, is allowing information to flow through us and us to flow with that sometimes in order to get new ideas, to free ourselves from a lot of these, ideals or box thinking, to get to the type of lifestyle that we desire or that we want. Okay. And a lot of the clothing that they wore back then, and a lot of the reasons they wore certain things like gloves, I'm wearing these for a reason. A lot of things they wore things like gloves or like high necklines or itty bitty waist and big bustles were as a form of protection, especially for women, or a form of telling other people, what their spiritual or what their uh, certain, I guess what you call it, position in life was at that moment in time. So everything had codes with it, like especially when someone died, you would wear black. You would be like a mourning, especially if it was your husband or your fiance. You would have to wear black and drape yourself in all black. Blah 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 blah. That way, they know that someone has died that is very close to you. So they kind of leave you alone for a little while. You know what I'm saying? So you can properly mourn and get all of, that energy out of you, you know, before you're able to interact with other people. So that is why a lot of the, dresses and they used crepe fabric, which was really expensive. So it was also very expensive to mourn as well because the fabric took a lot of, extra care, and plus it was expensive to dye that. Uh, yeah. And a lot of times they used dyes that had a lot of poison in them unknowingly because, they did not have the regulation, the FDA. So a lot of times people's clothing and their wallpaper and their, the toys that they played with, with lead paint and arsenic in the wallpaper and in the fabric dyes would kill them. So a lot of the scientists and a lot of the doctors that were doing this research during the time studied, these deaths and the forensic of these deaths and got to where we are today, with the FDA and the regulation of how much of a certain chemical can go into this, or that. So now there's less deaths and people aren't so obsessed with death because they don't have to go to a funeral every other week. You know what I'm saying? At some point, it became um, like that during COVID, as far as some people were concerned, and you know, a lot of people got like, mm, I'll say a lot of people knew that in order to boost your immune system to the highest point where, or to a high point where you won't easily get sick. Um, the warning signs were everywhere to those people that were paying attention, and even on my older videos, I was saying that you know, eat less meat, take your supplements, da 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 da, blah 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 blah. Eat more healthy, da da da. Um, all this new frequency in the air is not good for people that eat dairy and meat because of the mucus produced in the lungs. Da, 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 blah, blah, blah. You know, Same thing back in the old days. People had tuberculosis, aka consumption, which was, their lungs and fluids and all that kind of stuff being coughed up, can't breathe. So it's kind of very similar. And also, it's like, okay, well, what were they eating a lot back then? And I was looking in this book, and they ate a lot of dairy, a lot of cheese, and a lot of meat. And if you recall, like I think Tesla was in this time era as well, maybe a little bit after, but during. But he did predict that most people would eat less meat and become more vegetarian in the future. He did predict that electricity would be wireless, or he invented that in his era. He reinvented it, I'll say. But he was in contact with other, he said he was in contact with other beings. He didn't say aliens, he said beings. Beings could be other people as well in spirit form. You know, People that do spiritual seances or contact the dead or mediumship or whatever, those are other beings or entities as well. And with electricity, if you've ever studied the paranormal, you already know that like certain spirits and ghosts and energies are energized by electricity, lights, and all that kind of stuff. And gas also is a form of matter that also carries energy as well. So you're having all these new technologies back in the old days with gas and electricity, and all these new frequencies that are surrounding people, and they're just getting all these ideas, but also they're getting sick because they're not used to this technology. Um, because they haven't had it. So they have to, do research, medical research, and see what's hurting people and what's not hurting people. But if we had learned from then and know, they did learn and they tried to give warning signs as to what was going to happen now or a couple of years ago, they would have known when you put a new frequency out there, a very strong frequency, people are going to get ill depending on their diets and their immune system. And they did not really warn a lot of people. They already knew that dairy and meat was a bad mix with certain frequencies, and they did not tell people. They only wanted test subjects, and they only wanted people to make sure that, they created a repeat of, a lot of the deaths back then. But the sad thing is they did have the knowledge to prevent that. And they didn't push the knowledge enough because it was not making money. And um, this is another reason why there was a class system back in those days, because they wanted the rich to stay rich and the poor to stay poor. And when this new technology came in, that nearly made it impossible, because all the energies were being exchanged and all the ideas were floating around, and all the money making ideas, especially, were, getting here and getting there. And so, that's what happened. And that's what's happening again. And a lot of people did not want to share that. And so here comes the medical industry. Here comes, a lot of stuff to get you to do this and that, because that's how they're going to make their money. Because soon, like, a lot of people are going to be in business for themselves, and they're not going to be able to take advantage of people anymore, in a lot of these workplaces. So that's what that last kind of, hurrah was like, okay, well, we're going to lose out, because all these people are going to figure out how to work for themselves. They're going to come out with all these new technology, and everybody's going to be able to be their own boss. So let's just get a bunch of money real quick at the end, of people who live in fear. So that's what happens. And if we study the past, we can see it start to slowly repeat, and we can see, what we can do to prevent another, another tragedy, or like a bunch of people that unnecessarily had to lose their lives. And that's what I try to do on this channel. Like a couple of years ago, it's like, y'all need to listen, y'all need to stop. People will ask me, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Because some people aren't um, physically equipped to handle certain frequencies, and some people are more than others, and some people's diet and, the way that they live their lives also allow for longer lifespans, and da 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 da. So that's all I was basically doing back in those days, a couple of years ago. But it's so interesting to see the similarities, and now it's kind of the opposite. It's kind of like, when I read some of the books that were written in those times, and authors, they had more of an extensive vocabulary, because they didn't have internet, they didn't have like texting and stuff like that. They were more formal back then. So it's almost like, oh my goodness, these people were well read, some of them, and their vocabulary was more extensive. They used 20 words to say one thing, which is funny. But at the same time, it seems like we're more dumbed down, but our technology is increasing. And they were smarter as their technology increased. They also started to dumb down. Okay. So I feel like if you're looking to the future and looking to the past at the same time, you're in the present and you can see more. People always say, "Oh, I want to go see what's in the future," or people always say, "I want to see what's in the past." Well, past are in the book. You can look in a book, baby. You ain't got to go back in the time. You can look in a book. The future has not been created yet. So the future is based on the decisions that you make with the current amount of knowledge that you have in your mind right now. So if you are looking back to the past and studying history and the mistakes that they made, and if you start to see the patterns, you say, okay, this is about to repeat. So what do we need to do now in order to create a better future, or to prevent as many bad things from happening as that happened then? And so you start to say, okay, well, I feel like, we need to cut down on this and cut down on that due to the medical research that was done already back then. We need to do less of this and more of that. And so, those people did all that research, and up until now, scientists, medical doctors, holistic healers, nutritionalists, blah 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 blah, blah, all of those people, They have all this information for us, but we never read it because we were too busy being entertained, watching TV, listening to music, and not getting the knowledge that was necessary or is necessary to have a healthy life, long lifespan, and also to survive certain things that were to come. So, a lot of people think it's weird that I like to read back in the old days, or that I like to. I mean, that was my great grandma's age, so it's almost as if like I'm looking through her eyes. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's almost like I'm looking through my great grandmother's eyes, and it's almost like, what did they have to go through back then? How did they have to live? Why did they survive among other people? What were they doing? And I look, and it's just like my great grandmother. She was one of 10, or was she? No, she had either one of 10, or yeah, she was one of 10 children. So they had a lot of kids back then because a lot of times a lot of kids would die. Um, I think she was, let's say, forced to stop working at a young age so that they could, I mean, forced to stop going to school at a young age so that they could help work in wherever, in fields, farms, or whatever. So it's almost like you didn't get an education, especially if you were poor. And, until a lot of this new technology came in and new era came in, people were able to start their own companies, own businesses, work for themselves, da 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 da. And then, after, like my grandmother, her daughter, she was able to do a little bit better. And then the next generation was able to do a lot better. And then that next generation, which is me, was able to do way better. So my kids should, instead of being dumbed down, that's why I'm teaching them this stuff and how to look back and see what's going on. Um, and you'll be able to recognize the patterns that may start to repeat in your future, and why you need to take advantage of this time rather than let it pass you by being by ignoring a lot of this stuff and just going with the flow, or like just being entertained but not taking advantage of what you are able to do at this time. It's important. So, oh, I also wanted to say, I do have the membership um, to join on this channel available. I did link that below too. So you're able to join if you want to be a member, or if you just want to give me a nice gift, that would be nice too. I appreciate all of that. So here's a link if you want to become a member. I think it's cheap, like $1 or $2 a month. I mean, you're not going to miss that. But at the same time, it does help. It helps a lot because a lot of people want to comment and they want me to read their comments. And I can't read every comment because there's so many. So it helps if you're a member and I see a badge, that says member. And then I know that you're here for, learning, and you're here because you support me. You like what I say. You like my message, because I want to know that a lot of people are listening. I don't want to be talking to like a bunch of trolls and stuff. So I figured that is the best way to do that. And plus, it shows that have been with me and you want to continue to support me, and that's always a good thing. See, I see a Jeannie Nicole Sprinkle. She's one of the members. Um, You was looking out for lives since you've been listening. Well, I've been very active on other things. I have a lot going at this time. So I have books I'm reading. I have kids. I'm redecorating part of my house. Holidays are here. So it's a lot of, Crystal, all things Erica Marie Sprinkle. See the members? So you get a little badge as a member. So y'all go ahead and become members if you like. Also, yeah, the a lot of the older videos, I haven't taken a lot of them down. Most of them are still up. So y'all can go back and watch all those from 2020, 2019. if y'all are like wondering what I'm talking about, if you're new. Now, the way that I was getting the information back then was through, I don't know how I was getting it. It's just, I was reading books and maybe I was interpreting a certain way. And I was, just saying, okay, well, this is, I was just reading a bunch of books and I was getting a lot of information and, I was getting it from every direction. So you're going to see a lot of this explained in many different ways, from frequency, from race, from culture, from, whatever. So you're going to see a lot of different explanations for how frequency is measured. And a lot of people don't like to expand around the knowledge of how frequency is measured because it does push a controversial button. But if you're just looking for the knowledge, I try to be as simple as possible, as blunt as possible in explaining a lot of those things. And if you are, sensitive to race, colorism, classism, culturism, then perhaps that, those videos may not be something for you until you realize that everybody's on a different frequency depending on their amount and level of electricity or magnetism in their body. And that has a lot to do with their melanin, skin pigment, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So also age and so on and so forth. Um, uh-oh, Sappho Sprinkle Sprinkle, new member, hey. My old videos are priceless. Yeah, a lot. I have a lot of videos because that's what I did every day. It was almost as if I had this information that I had to get out, and if I didn't, I would just be writing it anyway. So I might as well just get it out. I also wrote books. I do have books available in the description bar as well. But I had to get these out because it's almost as like if you have this information or you want to tell people something, even if they believe it or not, it doesn't matter. But you need an outlet, and especially if no one around you is trying to hear what you said or already heard it, then who else should we share this with? I predicted so much. Yeah, I feel like I predicted a lot, but also it wasn't really a prediction. I was just looking and seeing where it was leading because, when you see stuff repeating from the past, you can predict it. Hmm. So, do I meditate? I don't know. Depends on what meditate means. I prefer not to label anything. And this is something else that I've learned. Never label yourself. Always be whatever you choose to be at that given time. Um, it's almost like being a C student. So no one expects too much of you, but they also expect you to pass. But they don't ever ask too much of you. And you're basically able to do what you want because, you're not high in demand but you know what you're doing. You know what I mean? So it's almost as if, sprinkle, sprinkle, JC, sprinkle, sprinkle, new member. So JCX13, that's your name? Okay, sprinkle, sprinkle, new member. So it's almost as if you don't want to do too much. You don't want a specific label. You just want to do what you want to do when you want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because when people ask you questions, and if I give you the answer, that answer may change. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, don't ask specific questions about people's routine because people's routine changes all the time, or they decide to do this or they decide to do that, depending on whatever they're focusing on at the time. So that's all. You say you can dip out if you want. Yeah, you can become the president as a C student. You can do whatever you want as a C student because you know what a C student says? I know it, but I don't care enough to show you that I'm trying to prove something to you. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I'm gonna stay right here. I can go this way or that way. It's up to me. Okay. So That's kind of what it's like. A lot of people feel or pushed to be A students, or some people just completely give up and are not care about anything and don't want to learn anything new, and they're like F students, right? So the C student, they're almost like, I know it, but I don't care enough to know it on that level because I don't, with that much knowledge comes a lot more, responsibility. And so if you don't want responsibility, but you have the information, but you don't want the responsibility until you choose to want that responsibility, then you are not expected, to have it. So that's kind of like no labels. hmm And the reason why is because you don't if you don't want to work for people, then the same thing as when you're over a lot of people and when a lot of people work for you, it's still a job. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you're working for a lot of people, but then on the opposite side, a lot of people seem to be depending on you, and it's the same thing because now that's work. So don't do that. Um, you said labels can be very limiting. Exactly. That's why people always want to put them on you. If you're going to take a label, like that's why a lot of these like physicians or nurses, they say practicing because it's not a label, it's a practice. That means they can practice this and that or this or that. And it's not an exact science. So, people say practice magic, practice medicine, practice this, practice that. But when it comes to other things, it's a full on label. And if you notice, a lot of the people that practice certain things, there's always loopholes in those professions. There's always new, innovative things in those professions. Those professions continuously change and grow versus other types of professions that aren't quote unquote practiced. So that's why I say don't put a label on something. Just say this is what I'm doing right now. This is what I'm doing. This is what I'm practicing now. This is what I'm studying now. Or this is what I'm learning now. This is da da da. Like no labels. Labels are for things that have already been written. Labels are for you know identifying something. Okay, they're not for limitless people or beings. hmm You said I changed my YouTube channel because I can. Like I'm a C student, baby. I do what I want. You see, I don't know any better. I'm a C student, baby. So all I know is that I just felt like doing that, and that's a good enough reason. So that's all. If I was an A student, if I was, I'd be expected to know or give you an answer. But I'm a C student. I don't know. My daughter does the same thing, and I'm always asking her why she does that, and now I know. She says, I don't know a lot, but she knows. And that's the most important thing that you know, or you don't know. We don't know. We don't know. You could know or you couldn't know. You're a C student. We don't know. Okay. You know, so I don't know. I don't know why I did that. I just felt like it. Um, do I think Jesus was a real man? There's a lot of people named Jesus, walking around here with Jesus on their birth certificate. So of course, there's a lot of real Jesuses walking around, but they pronouncing it Jesus these days. So anyway, there's a lot of Marys too, baby. A lot of Marys, a lot of Josephs, a lot of Jesus, Jesuses, Joseph, Marias, everywhere. Okay. Um, Y'all like my gloves? These are antique. I bought these at an antique shop. They're actually old. See how the so you can also see where they were stitched back together from like a long time ago. Like they took care of their stuff back then. You just didn't throw it away and get new ones. Oh my gloves! I'm going to stitch it up. They didn't just toss stuff away. They knew the value of things. They knew the quality of, and these gloves are way better quality than the stuff that they're selling now. Okay, I'm telling you that. So they knew the quality back then because they weren't ignoring a lot of the because they didn't have as many selections or you know, and they bought for quality and things to last a long time versus oh, I'm just going to buy me some cheap gloves because I only need them for this one outfit. In one of these books it says that women were like women were urged to buy things that matched and they could wear with other outfits and blah 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 versus something that you can only wear with one outfit or one time. It was known as like frivolous and like do I believe in miracles? No, but I know that song. I believe in miracles. But I don't like, I mean, where you from? You sexy fine. Like that song. I heard that song before. um, I've never witnessed a miracle unless it was fake miracle. So I don't know. hmm So is miracle real or fake? Like you gotta tell me because I don't know. Um, Dollar Tree coffee mug. You like it? You seen this at the Dollar Tree too? Yes. I know. Me and the Dollar Tree go way back. Okay. Yes. This mug was not 14.99 like some of my other ones, okay? The reason why I can afford those expensive mugs is because I got other ones that are only $1. That's how you do it. That's how you be thrifty. Yes. Okay. Were gloves worn in public because of germs? Yes. They didn't want to spread germs. When they shook hands, they didn't want to exchange energies or ideas. They feel like these were locks. Like you can't get in my stuff. You know how some people are quote unquote germaphobes and they don't want to shake hands, so they do this or whatever. The palms of your hand hold like a lot of your energy or your chi. Mhm. So you keep them covered a lot. And like the whole thing with, washing your hands during, the whole thing's like cleansing your hands, washing your energy, you know. So a lot of people covered their hands. Doctors will always cover their hands when they're like examining, of course, because of germs, but regular like gloves like this were often worn so that it was proper because you're not touching another person, exchanging energies, feeling that person's pulse rate, sweat, all that kind of nasty stuff. When you hold hands, stuff, shaking hands, intimate. It's less intimate, so it's more proper. If you're out in public and you're shaking someone's hands and they grab it extra tight and you feel all that sweat and like they're extra excited to meet you, oh, because they like you and stuff, it's like more thoughts into your mind. But with gloves, it's like we don't know no better. As unique as our fingerprints are, oh yeah, it's true. So gloves were worn as a form of protection. Women always often left their homes with hats as also a protection because a lot of the energy and heat escapes from your head most of the time. So they wanted to keep their energy thin. So they almost wore hats or like hair pieces or big hairdos, whatever. Um, They didn't wear a lot of makeup, which y'all know I gotta wear my makeup because I sell makeup. But they didn't wear a lot of cosmetics or makeup on their face, because back then health was like a big issue. So in order to know if a person was truly healthy or not, they wanted to see their features and make sure that they weren't covering stuff up and stuff was wrong with them, and they had like something off about them. And also it meant that you might have been a lady of the night or an actress or something like that. So they tended to just do more natural looking makeup, like powders and like moisturizer, little bit of this, like berries or something from their garden, but that's it. Cause like they're not, but their dresses and all their gloves and hats and accessories were like way ornate. So their hairdos were more extravagant and than their makeup was. Um, but now, yes, you can wear whatever you want. Um, And I was looking at a lot of the photos from back in the day, and they were really well dressed, and they had a lot of stuff up under them. They had layers upon layers of clothes, and the women back then were almost treated as objects. That's why I think the women's movement came, kind of after that era, because we were seeing it more as objects and things like that, and it was not, you know, a good thing. So. Uh-oh. Welcome and play. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I don't play. Uh, New member. Okay, so you said Victorian BB cream. For real? They mix that cream with that powder and make some BB cream for real. Um, so you said woman's man's best friend. Uh-huh. Well, I feel that a lot of women did not have certain rights back then. Like they couldn't inherit their own money if, someone died, like that owned the household, like the man or whatever. So they had to like scheme and connive and try to marry the next person that was to inherit the money, or blah 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 blah. So a lot of times like men are upset at women for being sneaky and like trying to gold dig, but it was a necessity back in the old days to keep their own money. I mean, y'all seen the movies. So don't blame it on us. Y'all the one made them stupid laws back then, and it just came over and kept going, and now it's hereditary. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Anyway, you said women had no value because they take on another family last name. I didn't take on nobody last name but my own. I didn't change my name, so I guess I'm valuable, huh? So anyway, because the laws changed. So a lot of those laws had to change in order for, women to even want to marry. Like a lot of people on my other channel, like, what about love? What about love? People weren't worried about love back in those days. They were worried about keeping their money or getting, um, having not to be pushed out of their class system or how they were raised or whatever. So it was way more about money back then as far as relationships are concerned than it is now. You know, um, that's how a lot of people um, married in order to keep their property or to not lose their fortune or to not lose their place in society. I mean, we seen Titanic. Am I off the market? Was I ever on the market? I know I was on the market. Hmm. Yeah, they had to keep all their property, their legacy, all that kind of stuff. And they had to scheme and scam in order to just keep what they had. So, and just all those skills, all those skills added up. And now look, today. Hmm. That's why it doesn't really pay to like oppress or take away the rights of certain people because they're going to learn how to maneuver around that. And then when those rights are given, they're going to go pew, right past. They've already been scheming and scamming so long. They know how they know business now, you know? So it's almost like if you're if you're able to finesse your way around all of those laws back then and keep what you have or get what you want when the law is against you. Imagine what you can do when the law is on your side. Okay. Not good. That's why I say men should never oppress women, oppress other races, da 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 da. You know, so on and so forth, without having or giving the knowledge of how to maneuver and all that kind of stuff. So, said your family do that now. Spiritually, a lot of people were less religious and more spiritual back then because they kept losing people and dying. People kept dying, and a lot of people lost their belief. Like, if God is real, why are they taking my children and why is everybody dying? So people would turn then to spiritualism or magic or witchcraft and stuff like that because they didn't get their answers from the church. The church wasn't giving them answers anymore. Of course, they would still attend church for social reasons and things like that. Um, blah 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 blah. But then they would also delve on to the other side. You know. So, what was hobbies of Victorian women like? Everything that quote unquote women are supposed to be doing: sewing, painting, music, poetry, whatever. Just feminine stuff. Flower pressing, embroidery. You know, if you were rich, you had other options like but that's the norms. Feeling oppressed at a middle class single parent. Okay, you're feeling oppressed as a class single parent. You're so done with your. Hold on, let me. Uh-oh, sorry. Let me expand this. But what? Oh, okay. You worked at a hospital, and now you want to work for yourself. I got you. Yeah, I would definitely. At this time, it's the best time for getting ideas, either from yourself or from other people, in order to be able to work for yourself or start your own business, whatever. Um, you said the church was the one bringing the prices. That's another story, though. Well, I mean, there's always conspiracy, and when there's conspiracy, people talk, and when people talk, and people gossip, and when people say this, and when people say that, that's also how energy spreads too. So, they had to keep that going as well. That was also a form of travel. Like that was also a form of how ideas spread before there was technology. Like before there was electricity and gas and like stuff back in the Victorian era, people gossiped, word of mouth, baby. Um, and how they used to come over your house and like they have a pie or like some type of cake for you so they could be invited in to sit and gossip, or they got their energy in that food and that cake. That's another way of exchange. Like when people used to, oh, my condolences, here's some food for you, because you lost someone. Okay, so um, I'm not as sad as you are because I didn't know the person that you lost very well. So my energy that's been put in this food is more of a consoling energy to help you feel better. So a lot of times people put their energy in these foods when they, gave them as gifts or when they went over to people's house to gossip. That's also an exchange of energy. And that's why you see a lot of gossip videos, or that's how some people exchange their energy. They gossip. Some people exchange it through knowledge or teaching, or some people exchange it through example, blah 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 blah, or that's inspiration. But if you're not a student, if you're not someone that's read, certain things, then if all your knowledge is gossip, then that's your way of spreading your energy and your knowledge of what other people are doing around. But at the same time, there's different levels to how you exchange energy. So, I've seen a lot of people that, and I feel like if you can do better, you should do better. If you can't, if that's all you can do, then that's all you can do. But sometimes, those lower level, I'm not going to call them lower level, I'm just calling those different types of energy, are not well received sometimes by other people because they don't like quote unquote gossip. Um, so a lot of the times those energies are definitely rejected, and those are not, a lot of people do not allow certain types of people to hang around them or their family or their children or anything because of the amount of gossip that goes on with, certain people. So it's like I would never take anything personal if you're a gossiper and people don't like you around. It's not you, it's what you're doing. So some people will not, some people will take it personally, but there's nothing to take personally. It's just a habit or something that you do that other people do not agree with. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So I hope this video was helpful to some people and give you like a little bit of, references as to what you can read and go back to and see a similar era and how it progressed and how things progressed from that time to this time, and you can see where we're kind of going. Um, you said, why is 1800 Victorian men ever? Why in 1800s Victorian men ever high value or not really 12 kids? A lot of them would die, baby. And so a lot of them kids will die because, like, they had like breast pumps back then. So like if you had a baby in that era, you didn't necessarily have to breastfeed because they had breast pumps and you can put them in these bottles, right? But they made the pumps and the bottles out of porous materials with cork and like porous material. So the bacteria from the milk or the breast milk would fester and grow in these, bottles and corks. And so the baby would get sick and die. So you had 12 kids, you might have 3 kids left, you know what I'm saying? Or 5 kids left. So they didn't know anything about bacterial growth back then, which is how we became, this is how we learned about it by all these deaths. And then they started studying, like, okay, why did this baby die? Let me see the bottle. Then they looked at it under a microscope and like, what's all this stuff in here teeming? Oh, this is probably why the baby died because it's got all these nasty germs in here. We can't be using it. You got to sterilize these bottles now. Got to use this type of, rubber and plastic and A, B, C, and D. That's how it was born. Like new technology, new ideas, safer bottles and things like that. So yeah, you could be quote unquote high value, but you had extra kids in case your other kids died. So you'd have an heir. And women had a bunch of kids because so like they couldn't inherit their own money. So if you had a bunch of kids, some of them were gonna be boys. Okay. And they're gonna look out for you versus having 2 kids and maybe they're just both girls. So it was just a way that people had to do stuff back then because of laws and all that kind of stuff. But now it's not like that. So, but there's other laws for different things, or there's other, I wouldn't even call them laws, but like how people are treated. You're going to have to make sure that you pay attention to how people treat you and, in order to evolve. Right. And it was very, I'm almost done. I'm going to be done in a second, but it was very, um, I don't know. It was like one of the main rules, I wouldn't say it's even a rule, but one of the main things that they did back then was to not make friends with everyone, not to tell everyone their business. Everybody was an acquaintance until they earned their friendship with you. And because of that, so These days, everyone has social media, friending, being nice and cordial with everyone and inviting people in, inboxing them, talking to them. And everyone is not your friend, even if they seem friendly. And that's another thing that I learned from reading some of these books. And it's another thing that you can also apply to today. Not everyone is your friend. Some people just want to get close to you so they can get knowledge or information from you or this, and that. So just be careful when you are on social media, especially. You know what I'm saying? Um, or even at work. Like not every coworker is your friend, right? Oh, love Jackson, sprinkle, sprinkle, new member. How to and how to treat other people. They had to bite their tongue. Exactly. Like they told you how to handle people that you know were talking trash, or how to handle people without being upset and da 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 da. Some manners and stuff. But um, that way they don't emotionally get to you, or you don't take it personally. And it's kind of like you're inviting them in if you allow it to be personal, so you don't take stuff personally. You're inviting their energy in if you start to take whatever they're saying to you personally. So you just whatever. hmm The peasants were much friendly with each other. Only the nobles were like that. I feel like the peasants and the nobles were treated each other differently because the nobles knew certain things that the peasants didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Just like quote unquote the elite now know certain things that the regular everyday people don't know. So they had to act accordingly. You know, um, and if they were to quote unquote exchange certain energies, some of that knowledge may have also been passed, frequency wise, and then they would know certain things. This is why, like, during the rise of technology, this is why all these conspiracies started to arise that ended up being true. You know what I'm saying? Because with more technology and higher frequencies going through the air, more information also travels. So a lot of the secrets or the conspiracy theories that we have that have been proven were why the quote unquote nobles or elite did not friend everybody. That's why you had to have, security clearance. That's why, you got to know certain code and da, 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 because a lot of the secrets or things like that were kept among certain people. But now with all of this, everything is spread. All that knowledge is spread around. So, you know, it's kind of like, okay, I want more technology. I want this. I want that. I want more knowledge. But on the other side, it's like the more knowledge you get, the less privacy you get. And, with the rise of technology. So there has to be like a middle ground, or there has to be like a way to protect yourself somewhat. Because you're not going to be able to do it 100% unless, you figure that out. But some people will definitely say, I don't care. I have nothing to hide. Give me the technology. And some people will like, I have a lot of things to hide, you know, um, and then they'll find a way to combat the technology or hide it or make up a code or whatever. So that's all it is, and that's what they did back in the Victorian days. That's why they had different colors that they would wear, dress, how they would dress, wearing hats, gloves, how they would, you know, receive people for only 15 minutes at a time and da, 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 da. They had all these rules so that energy and knowledge and ideas and things wouldn't be exchanged on such a rapid pace. But now we have like so much going through the air, it's almost impossible to stop it unless you go move out somewhere where it's, there's no 5G or wireless and, stuff like that. Um, you said illusion of privacy. Exactly. It's like you get the illusion of privacy, but at the same time, knowing that you have privacy is one thing, and knowing that you don't have privacy is another thing. So it's what you feel that you know. that allows you to feel like you have privacy or not. Do I have privacy today? Maybe. Maybe not. Oh well. You know, you stop believing in the illusion of safety and privacy. Yeah. You know, for me, if you go to a doctor and you undress and you let them draw lines all over your body to tell you where you fat and skinny at, but you're scared of, people invading your privacy. Or, if you go and like write all your information on a sheet and then go vote, for an election, but you're mad about privacy. Or, you go online and put all your pictures and posts and stuff, but you're worried about privacy. We as individuals already gave away our privacy a long time ago. We just not aware of it. We just think that at certain times we can have privacy and certain times we're not able to have privacy. But in reality, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like if you want privacy, then pretend you have it. That's all I can tell you. Um, think you have it. hmm Victorian women wore jewelry sometimes, depending on what time of day it was, like after dinner or during the evenings if they were to go somewhere and like dinner time and stuff like that. Yeah, but like for that earlier part of the day, they really didn't. hmm Yeah. So it doesn't matter these days. Like, if you want the technology, you give up the privacy. It's like Siri, on your phone. It's like Siri wants to learn about you. Siri wants to see how you know, use your phone so Siri can help you. Siri wants to do. I turned all that stuff off. Siri, Siri don't need to know that much about me, baby. So and if you look up the meaning of the word Siri, you might be surprised. Keep looking. Anyway, I'm not um I'm not afraid that people will say, "Oh, we have no privacy anymore." I don't care. you know, I don't care anymore. It's just it's funny. Um, turn on your location to use the app. Absolutely not. Turn it on and then turn it right back off, or just say no. Don't allow. Um, we went from tribesmen to technology using civilians. Yeah, but like the middle ground. People that predicted the future said we should have flying cars by now and be wearing silver spacesuits and exploring, the next frontier. But we're not even there yet. We're supposed to be like the Jetsons, but we're not there yet. Why? Because there's a middle ground. Um, and that's where most people probably are going to be the happiest or more thriving or more satisfied at that middle ground of technology. You can't have all this technology and then no privacy. So there's a middle ground somewhere. You just have to find it. Like when technology can't improve anymore to our comfort. So, for example, I mean, they keep coming out with new phones that don't do anything different, right? So that technology is pretty much done, unless you're going to have like 3D videos. I mean, but you know, um, That's a play with people acting or holograms on stage. That's already done. But what more do you want? Do you want like to be interactive in and that's I think that's what we're doing now. Like that's where the energy exchange goes from. Like, do you want to be interactive in the movie you're watching? Or do you just want to watch the movie? You want to be a 4D, you want to watch this movie in 4 or 5D, or do you want to watch it on a flat screen? So a lot of people, it's like, hmm, the technology it keeps increasing, but when is it enough? So for me, I don't, I just want to be able to look for something and find it, watch a good video or a good movie or not. I don't need all that extra stuff, you know. hmm You said let you call your mom and heaven other family. Yeah. Like there has to be a middle ground. Otherwise, it's like, okay, well, you're gonna lose sight of what's real and what's technology after a while. Uh-huh. Mhm. I think that's also a metaphor for like Genesis in the Bible where like Adam and Eve were running around naked and were free of sin. Like they didn't have nothing to hide. So they didn't need privacy. But then when they got some extra knowledge and technology, quote unquote, they got kicked out because they started to hide stuff. And so that is saying like once you get a certain amount of knowledge, you start to want to hide certain things from other people for some reason or from other, eyes. So what is it with knowledge or technology that makes people want to hide things? I don't know. Um, he said it's a way to escape reality. Like, what you trying to hide? You got this new technology, but now you're hiding. Um, so basically, in that analogy, it's like you didn't know you were naked. You didn't know that these parts of your body were, equipped to do certain things, or you didn't see them as good or bad. You just saw them as a body. Um, so you were fine walking around naked. Now that you know, now you're like, so it's almost like, if you were a child and you walk around your diaper or you walk around naked, you don't know that certain areas of your body are private. And so you don't care. You just run around. But once you grow up or you see something on TV or, someone tells you, you get the knowledge of it, then you try to hide it because you feel ashamed. So, that's what they're trying to do. Like this, like, do you want this technology? Well, you got to give up some, you got to allow less shame to be less shameful of yourself, you know. And it's almost as like, in order, because the technology um, may have certain qualities that are harmful. And if you are the type of person to sneak and hide to do stuff, you may have ulterior motives with certain technology. And so, how they always say, like, oh, with a child's heart or like, with the mind of a child, an innocent mind. Um, or like in Harry Potter, in order to look in his mirror, you can't want what the treasure is on the other side. You can't want that. You gotta want something else. It's kind of like that. So that's why they take away the privacy. It's almost like a leverage. Mhm. Right. Social media is an area where people compare themselves and could be good or bad instead of using the technology as a tool to elevate. True. I think social media a lot of times were to connect people, to exchange ideas and knowledge. But it also, remember, there's always that other side, the knowledge of good and evil. So there, and then there became the gossip, and then there became the trolls, and this, and that. And so there's two sides now, and it's all jumbled up. And in order to find what you're looking for, you have to be very specific, you know. And so, you know, that knowledge comes with the other side. You know what I'm saying? So like if you get on YouTube to do some good, to help people out, to do this, is that there's gonna be people that are going to be trolls, and there's gonna be people that are going to gossip, and that is that other side. And so in order to be strong and firm in your mission or your technique or whatever you're teaching or talking about on YouTube, you can't care. You know what I'm saying? I don't care. Look, take it and do what you gotta do, because you know what? Remember, you're watching me, not the other way around. So you have to think of it like that, you know. And gossip and all that slander and trolling, you know, those to me is just the other side of the good that you're going to get out of the, you know, the technology. So you're online, you're learning, you're, you know, feeling confident about yourself because of what other people are teaching, and you know someone's gossiping, that comes with it. Okay, that comes with it. So just just know that when something comes with it, it doesn't mean that you have to accept it. You know what I'm saying? You can throw it away, or you can discard it, or you don't have to, you know, partake in it. It's just something that comes, like when you eat a banana, you got to peel it. When you you know, dig up crops, you got to wash it off, peel it, you know. So it's what you choose to do with it is up to you. Hmm. People don't get mad when they you know, get a vegetable and they have to peel it and wash it and cook it and stuff like that. They just happy they got the dang vegetable. Okay, ooh, I'm happy I got something to eat. You know, I might have to dig it up. I might have to wash it off. I might have to peel it. I might have to like chop it and season it and put it in a pan or boil it in some water. And I might have to work to get to the good part, but that's where I'm headed, baby. That's where I'm going, to the good stuff. You know, I'm not going to focus on the bad stuff. That's just what is necessary for it to even exist in order to get on your plate, baby. You know what I'm saying? So you have to know that. Just don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Just say, you know what? It is what it is, but I'm finna eat. Period. Uh, you said don't have a snake tongue. So many post their meals, restaurants, receipts. I'm really sad. They need validation for their pretend life. Yeah, but the thing is, we don't know why they're posting that stuff. Maybe they're happy they can eat this type of food. I mean, do we really know why? Do we care? Do I believe in ascension? I don't believe in anything until I have to or till I need to. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's like I'm a C student. You know, I'm a C student, which means to me it means I can go either way depending on what I feel like doing at the time. So, like I said, there is no belief system. There's only what is necessary at that moment in time. Okay, so y'all can't. I don't do beliefs. I do what I need to think when I need to think it. Um, the good stuff is beneficial after the work to prepare the fruits of your labor. Crop circle of life. So many posts. Okay, I already read that. So it's getting artificial now. Artificial. Or if you know, all you got to do is think of it in a different way, and it will mean a totally different thing to you. You will act accordingly, and how you act and how you move is what you create. So just think that, you know, uh, and you know, the English language is full of words that are loopholes to create exactly what you need to create if you want to. So, like art, artificial is art, you're still creating. Mhm. Gossiping is like having a snake's tongue. Mhm. Um, Everyone falls victim to gossip, but at the same time, if you're not naturally a gossip, it does not you're not attracted to gossip. You know what I'm saying? If you're not naturally a gossiper. So there are people that are natural gossips and people that are not. And so if you're a natural gossiper, I don't know what makes a person a natural gossiper, but for me, it seems like, if you have nothing to discuss or to talk about or to create, then of course other people's business is more likely interesting to you. So you focus on that. And, people have created ways to make money on gossip. I mean, and we see that, and people have made created ways to make money on knowledge. So it's both sides of the spectrum. Some people don't like knowledge and they like gossip more. And so those people should stick to the gossip. Uh-oh, sprinkle, sprinkle. Those people should stick to the gossip, and those people should stick to knowledge. Who like knowledge, and those people that like gossip stick to gossip. I mean, there's no harm done there, except for when people start gossiping about people that are not, you know, um, in that genre. And then it starts to affect how they conduct themselves or how they interact with other people, um, as well, because a lot of people are the in between. They don't know whether they should listen to the gossip or not, or they may fall guilty to it and then start to interact with the person in a different way, and so then it starts to bleed over into this side. But the point is, if you are a natural gossip, then you're going to gossip regardless. If you're not a natural gossip, you're going to lean more towards just getting the information and moving to the destination that you're trying to get to, and not worrying about what other people's small minds do when they don't have the capacity to learn or study or research or read or do any of those things. You know, that's all they got. So, um, mhm. Um, so yeah, we got to make sure like we don't care. Like when you know who you are, or you have, you know, no labels, then sometimes things don't apply to you as they apply to others. That's why I don't accept labels. Always remember that. Always know that. Mhm. Some people s- have one meaning for one word. Some people have five meanings for one word. Some people break up the word into five different words with 10 different meanings. Okay? So, however you conduct yourself, however you view your world, however you deal with your issues, or however you recreate or create is up to you only. No one else. No one can tell you. All your choices is to accept what they tell you, to create your own way, or to create a way out of a way. That's why I continuously do what I need to do, no matter what. Um, no one ever cared what anyone eats except when your life. People care what people eat for some reason. They may communicate through food. You don't know. Some people communicate through the food that they're eating, just like some people communicate through how they decorate their house, feng shui, or whatever. So I don't decorate my house like that, but some people do. You know, some people communicate through their writing, um, or how they dress, or how they talk, what they're saying. Some people are dropping code left and right all the time. Um, and some people do it through food. I don't know. You see a food for thought. For me, look, I'm not like if I post a picture, don't try to decode it, please, because there's no code in there. You're just gonna be decoding for no reason, for fun, because there's no code there. Just like there's no code in this, there's no code in anything. I'm just dressed like this because of the video that I'm making. If you're trying to look for any type of code in my stuff, you're gonna be mad and you're gonna say I'm fake and fraud. But no, I'm not dropping code, baby. You looking for it. That's all I can do. See student. It's there to decode if you want, but it means nothing because it's not done on purpose. If you find meaning in something and it means something to you and it helps you along the way, great. But don't see it as an indication or as instruction or anything. Just see it for whatever you see it as. That's why I don't like label. Do what you got to do. That's all I can do. And some things I may have consciously done, and some things I just like, oh, I don't care, whatever. So it's that's how it is. I'm not one of those people that have to set up and do everything like according to what needs to be communicated. I don't care enough. Like, look, see student. Um, you said me looking at her mug. Yeah, like this mug from the Dollar Tree. If y'all can read it super close, there's something written on this tea bag too. I mean, this tea paper too. Did y'all get that? Y'all want to read it to you? Because I didn't even read it. In the beginning is you. In the middle is you. And in the end is you. Period. Okay. I'm everything. Everyone, everybody. There you go. Above, below, and in between. That's me. Even my tea know. How you doing? And it's funny how they call gossip tea. Did you get the tea? I got the tea. I'm me. Times three. Um. So yeah, that's just what I'm saying. I would be so improper back in the Victorian era. I would be looked at, talked about, probably gossiped about. Oh, did you see what she had on? I don't care. That's why I'm born now and not then. But I did learn a lot from studying that era. And I did see history repeat itself. And I did see the warning signs. And I'm glad that, people do look back and study history because a lot of the new technology that was coming out back then had similar effects to the technology that is available today. You say you're a food blogger. Food is art. Exactly. Food communicates differently to different people. You identify closely with that era. I identify closely with certain eras too. Like, that's one of them. Probably because your great grandparents were in that era, or some of your grandparents, depending how old you are. So it is hereditary. What do I predict in 2022? I don't predict anything. I create what's going to happen then. I've learned that prediction is not 100%. It is what you speak is what you create. So whatever you want to happen that's what may happen. So speak what you want. In 2022, I'm going to continue to win at everything that I do. And everybody that is close and around me are also going to continue to win and have the life that they want or do what they want to be doing. That's what's going to happen in 2022. There you go. You know, let's see. Have you ever worked? No, no. That's actually good advice. What? Basically, industry folks trying to lure me in on a major scale. What's industry folks like? Honestly, I never wanted to be in any type of. I didn't want to be famous. I don't want to be famous at all. I never started like there's a fan page. I never started that fan page. Someone else started that. I would never call people fans. Okay. So that's my bad. I allowed someone to step in and I felt like they were doing something nice for me. And they said, "Oh, I'm going to start you a fan page." I did not really sit there and think about that. I never started my own fan page. I never did any of those things. That was other people. I did not do that. I don't think like that. Okay. Well, I. So people may have thought that was my idea, but it sure wasn't. I might change the name of that. I would take the word fan off and just put my name and not a fan page because I never see people as fans. That's silly to me. Um, because I don't feel like I'm famous or I never want to be famous. I just want to be who I am. Uh, mhm. What's my favorite era? Um, I don't have a favorite era. It's just whatever era I'm attracted to during, whatever I'm doing at that time. Mhm. So, never never give specifics, always have room to grow. Don't get trapped. Don't give away too much, even on these videos where I'm live and people ask me random questions, you know, um I'm never really going to give you the straight answer. I'm never going to be the same person, you know, um to tell you, oh, this is exactly who I am and who I'm always going to remain and who I'm always going to be because I'm continuously learning things. And with knowledge and with continuously learning things or studying things, you know, opinions could change. Labels, which I don't like, could change. So I don't ever try to do that anymore. I might have done it in the past, but I try not to do that anymore. Um, you say your actual pages are basically your fan pages anyway. Not really, because if it doesn't say so, then it's not, because some people will interpret a fan as something totally different than the next person. Like, what's a fan to you? What's a fan to this person is totally different what a fan is to that person. And like I said, some words have more than one meaning. Some words have more than one meaning. It doesn't mean the same thing on different, you know, perspectives. So a fan to you may just be, oh, someone who likes to watch your video. A fan to someone else could mean some type of energy. So either way. hmm You said I'm humble, yeah, but I never meant to say I had a fan page. Someone created that without my permission. Actually, they just said, "Look what I did for you." Like, okay, I guess that's cool. I don't know. I don't want to be rude, but now that I look back and I know more, I'm like, I didn't need a fan page because I don't have fans. I have people that like to watch my videos or subscribers or whatever they call it on YouTube. I don't have fans. I'm not a famous person. I didn't sign up to be famous. I signed up to talk on this thing and that's it. So, some, and I always tell people, some people do things for different reasons, and not everybody who's on, YouTube or Instagram or whatever are on there to seek fame. They're not. They just want to share what they know, or they want to find people that think similarly to talk with. It has nothing to do with fame because if I want to be famous, there's faster, easier ways. Okay, I can get in a bathtub of Jello and squirm around and act stupid and be famous tomorrow. Okay, but that's not what I'm trying to do. So I go eat some type of ghost pepper and react to it online live and be famous tomorrow. But I don't need all that. I don't want that. Okay. I could go find a news crew next to a fire and be as ratchet as can be and be the next meme and remix song. But that's not what I'm trying to do. Okay. You said YouTuber is not wanting to be famous is an oxymoron. You can teach people at your local library. But who go to the library, baby? Do you go to the local library? Who go? Old people go to the library. They was back in they was in the Victorian era, okay? Or their mama was. So to reach a broader audience, you get on YouTube. You don't go to the local library. Okay. People should have a choice. People should say, "Oh, you can't say, oh, you're famous because you're on YouTube." There's YouTubers that um, are famous, and then there's YouTubers that get on because they like to share what they do or their knowledge or whatever. Then there's YouTubers that get on as to get famous. So for real, you say you like the library. The library where I live does not have the type of books that I like to read. Like some of them, but like I have to go to the one in Houston to get what I like. You say you went to the library 2 months ago? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let me go ahead and go to the library. Because they be lying at us. Um, hmm Anyone can start a YouTube channel, and you don't have to want to be famous to do that. Just like anybody can start their own business and not want to become a billionaire. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Your goals are different as to why you do certain things. Okay. I haven't been there in forever though. Libraries are going bankrupt because people don't return books. I know. They just think it's a bookstore and they're like, oh well, what they gonna do? Send the police? I just never go back. That's what they'll say. I had a library book for a long time. I don't know if I ever sent I think I gave it back though. It was years. But I lost it. It wasn't my fault. Mm-hmm. Oh, where's my phone? Let's see what time it is. Okay. I'm gonna be going in a second. But y'all, if y'all want to be members, the link is up at the top of the chat if you want to become members on my YouTube channel. It's cheap. I think it's like a couple dollars a month, and it'll help me see your comments better. And also, if you want to give me a nice gift for the holidays, that would be the one gift that you could do for me. It's only $1 or $2, whatever. Become a member. Um, Unless y'all want to put my Amazon wish list up there, okay? Because I can do that. But I don't want to be, you know, that's a joke. But I have done that before, and people have actually sent me some of the stuff on my wish list, and I'm like, dang, y'all so nice. But now I don't really need too much stuff because I have everything that I want, and if not, I can get it for myself. But to become members on a channel is, your way of showing support for my channel, and so I don't have to always, sit there and be like, well, I wonder if people like what I'm doing or saying. That's how you can show your support. And also, I'm more likely to read your comments and, listen to whatever it is that you feel that you need to say as well, since I know you're taking me seriously. Um, you notice that the men you admire in spiritual community encourage initiation, while the women I admire, including you, say the opposite. Your thoughts? Um, Freedom, uh, choice, do what you want. Like it just could be me. I don't like certain things. I like to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And sometimes that doesn't go along with initiations. You know what I mean? Um, so that's why. Because it's just who I am. It's not women. It's just who I am. I know women that like to do stuff in order, but women are more creative than they are logical sometimes. And so I feel that with no limits and, less rules, you could do more. Um, and even if you feel like that's not true and that there's more people that are initiated into something and their strategy is numbers, well, with a creative mind, you can go somewhere beyond numbers. You know what I'm saying? hmm So, it's fine however you want to view it. I think some people do things for different reasons. Like some people join things for career. Some people join things out of curiosity. Some people join things because they were born into it. Some people join things by accident. Some people were forced into it, and some people um, just don't even acknowledge those things. You know, and they choose to acknowledge when they see it, or they choose not to acknowledge it. It just depends on their mood at the time. C student, you know. Um, some people say peer pressure. Yeah, everybody's different. So like I'm not joining anything unless they paying me big time money because that's called affiliation. Okay. Where's my money? Don't I'm not joining anything, I don't need to feel that much a part of something in order to give away my identity. You know what I'm saying? Well, y'all, if anything, y'all gonna join me because I'll start my own stuff. Okay. So that's me. I'm not joining nothing. You want to join something? We gonna make up something to join. Like, how about that? So you said you paid. We gonna join the whatever I make up at the on the moment. That'll be our club or whatnot. Do I believe in past lives? I don't believe in anything unless it's necessary at the time when I'm trying to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm trying to accomplish something and it's beneficial for me to quote unquote believe in certain things, then for that brief moment that I need to, I will. But then when I'm done with it, I'm done and I go on to something different. It's not a belief system, it's just a moment. Okay. If I were to believe in past lives, then for that brief moment, I would say, "Oh yes, I remember that." But then in the moment where I don't believe in past lives, oh no, I don't believe in past lives. I just feel that it's just this, and that. Then there's a scientific explanation. So depending where my perspective is at that moment, that's what I believe. It's kind of like you have two audiences. You have a scientific audience and a spiritual audience. Now, how are you going to explain this same concept or same idea or past lives to both audiences? You have to use different vocabulary. So, believe is a spiritual term or a religious term, and scientific terms are, do you have proof that past lives exist? So, depending on which perspective that I'm explaining past lives in, is going to make a huge difference. Now, you bring them together and say, past lives are possible depending on what you believe. And if you also feel that your soul, your spirit, and your energy can travel through the air on frequencies, then of course it's possible. That means I'm still leaving it up to you. And I'm not giving you any answer. I'm allowing you to think for yourself. So that's what my take on past lives are. What do you believe? What do you know? Can you put it both together? Because if I tell you if I believe something and I don't have a scientific way to explain it and there's no proof, then that leaves room for doubt or, oh, you're lying. I don't have to lie. Do your research, and whatever you believe in is good enough. It doesn't matter what I believe in. Because, like I said, belief is a spiritual term or a religious term, and proof or research or theories or practice are more scientific. Both. Mhm. It's kind of like when they asked Neil deGrasse Tyson, "Hey, do you believe in God?" Yeah, I hate when all those people always ask that dumb, stupid question, and he just go off into this long pause conversation, and then he always go back to zeros and ones. Well, zeros and ones. I would just cut it short and be like zeros and ones, baby. What does that mean? Basically, yeah, that's what you say. The matrix. We're stuck in the matrix. But to someone who believes, they're asking a scientist a spiritual question. That's like me asking a plumber how to install some type of electrical wiring. Um, it don't make no sense. No, I don't know. I'm a plumber. No, find an electrician. Go do that. So the same thing with ghosts, depending on your experience and belief. Exactly. That's why the Victorian era was so cool because it was a merge of technology and spirituality. Think about ghost hunters. They don't just go around with a Ouija board or a psychic anymore. They got scientific technology. They have EVP meters. They're combining the two. So our thoughts also need to be doing that as well. If not, then you're stuck on one side and you're unable to see from a different perspective. And if you're unable to see from a different perspective, like a scientific perspective versus a spiritual perspective, then you're not going to see the whole picture. And it's not going to make a lot of sense. And you're going to argue back and forth about beliefs and religion and da 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 da. And when you have over here, ways to see it in a different perspective and maybe come to your own conclusion where you don't have to believe anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like people can say, "Oh, do you believe in magic and magic tricks? Or do you believe that magician on the stage was really doing real things?" Some people will say, "Yes, I believe that he's magic and he's like got some supernatural powers." And other people will be like investigating and doing their research, like that fool just got some magnets and some mirrors and smoke. You know, they're not going to believe that this stage magician has powers, and they're not going to be susceptible to, you know, they're going to see that stage magician totally different than the scientist. The scientist will see a stage magician as an illusionist, while a spiritual person or someone who's unaware of science will see a stage magician as, wow, they're magic. They must, know all this, and that. They're going to see it totally different. So you got to see it from both perspectives. Enjoy the fun illusion of the stage magic, but also remember that there's a way to explain it. hmm And just like when you're watching it with children, you don't want to spoil the illusion by telling them how the trick is done. You just let them look in awe and use their imagination and see what creative things occur within their mind. Because sometimes those illusions are to create new or different ideas or new perspectives, or you know eh, to help your mind you know see things in a different way, or show you that things are possible, right? Not to be scared, not to have a belief system, but to show possibility. Or you are giving, okay, a matter all matter perspective and experience, exactly. So okay, there's a new show called The Nevers. I have to check that, see what that's about. Um, so I gotta go, y'all, and appreciate all the new members. If y'all want to join and become members on this YouTube channel, the link is at the top of the live comments and also on the channel page. It says join. Just click on that, and it's highly appreciated. And I'll see y'all on the next video. Bye.